Hello everyone, welcome to the Penguin Coders. Let's start with our chart app tutorial using Flask and SocketIO. In this part of the tutorial, we will be creating the routes which will define the index route and the chart route where we will be navigating through different HTML files. So first, I'll be creating the project structure of the whole project. So let me create a new folder called static where I'll be storing all the CSS files of the project. Then we will be creating an templates folder where we will be storing our HTML files. So this is the whole project structure, and now let me begin by writing the HTML files first. So before writing the HTML files, we need to import some CSS files which are already given on my GitHub repository, the link of which is given in the description. You can follow that. So go to the repository, Mohit chat app Flask SocketIO, and then navigate to the static folder where you will get these two files, bootstrap min.css and style.css. Copy both these files and copy the whole code into your Visual Studio Code editor. Now after we have copied the CSS files, go to the templates folder and create a new file called index.html, which will be the login page for our chat application. So index.html, and here write the code for index.html file. So start with the template declaration, doctype HTML, and the language lang equals en, and define the header. So in the head we will define the title. You can name the title of your chat application something like, here it will be Penguin Coders Chat, and after that we will link the CSS files. So the first link will be link href equals and navigate to /static/css style.css file, and one more link we will write here. So relative tag equals style sheet, and one more link will be link href equals the bootstrap link. So /static/bootstrap min.css, and related tag is style sheet. Now we have defined the head. Let's move on to define the body. So for the body, I have taken the class as text center, which is the property of bootstrap. So text center, and here I'll write a form where I'm taking the username as well as the room name. So form class equals form sign in. You can choose any style if you want, but I'm choosing the default which is given by Bootstrap. So, and the action will be URL for chat. So you might not understand this now, but I will let you know how it works later on. So method equals post. Now to understand this action, always a form has an action where after clicking on submit button, the URL goes to that page. So for Flask, we use URL for to decide which file or method we want to go to. So URL for chat will go to the method which is described in app.py with the name as def chat. So when we will define that method, it will redirect to that page. Then we will write a heading. So h1 class equals mb3, and then font weight is normal, and we will write the heading as Penguin Coders Chat. Next we will write the input method where we will take the username, input type equals text, then id equals username. Next we will define the name, which is also username. It's better to keep all the parameters as the same name. Then the class is form control, and the placeholder will be username. Placeholder is the one which is shown in grayed out color when we haven't written anything. And then we will write as required autofocus. So this autofocus will, every time you load the page, the default behavior will be to write something in the keyboard, so it will be auto focused, it will be selected by default, so you can directly start typing the username. And after that we will do a break line. Next, let me hide this. So next we have our input type equals text and the room name, so everything will be same. Input type equals text, then id equals room, and the name will be room. Then class is form control, and the placeholder will be room, and it's also a required field. So required, make sure that if you do not type anything in the box, then it throws a small warning message that you have to fill in that field. Button class equals btn lg, and it's button primary we are taking here. These classes are from Bootstrap, so you can change this from as your preferences. So value will be submit, and the name is start chat. So this completes our index.html file, and now we will write one more file called chat.html, which will be the chat window, which will be similar to the picture which is being shown here now. So for that I will create a new file in templates, which is known as chat.html. So let me hide this Script Explorer, and for the chat.html we will copy the same exact doc type as in the index.html. Then HTML language equals English, and then we will write the head. So first we will define the title, and the title will be same as Penguin Coders chat. Next we will link to the style sheets, so link href equals /static and css style.css, and rel is equals to style sheet. Then we have link href equals /static /bootstrapman.css, and the link will be style sheet. Now after the head we will start with the body, where the body class is again centered text center. Now here let me write a div class to style my whole chat window. So div class equals chat window, and you will see the style for this chat window has been defined in the style.css file, which is defined here as chat window. So you can style it as your own way. I'm using the style which I've already written for this application. So in the chat window I'll write a h2, that is Penguin Coders chat, and then I'll write the room name. So room name has to be taken from the Flask application, so it will be included into curly braces. So h2 room, and the room name will get from session, and session slash, and the parameter name is room. So when I write the code in app.py for this sessions variable, you will understand why this is being used here. So wait for a while. So insert a new line break. Then to hold the chats, we will define a text area. So the text area ID will be chat, and it columns I have defined as 70 here, and the rows equals 10. Then placeholder will be when there is no chat available, so the placeholder default will be no messages yet, start one ... Then write the text area, close the text area, and so BR. After this has been done, we need a place to write our chat message. So we will write a input type equals text, then ID equals text, and size equals 60. The size variable has been adjusted so that we can include a submit button to its right, and it looks decent. So the placeholder will be enter your message here. Next we have a button. Button type equals button, and ID equals send. Class equals button success. So button success is for coloring it in green color, and it's a property of Bootstrap, taken from Bootstrap, and the value is send. So we'll close the button tag, then write some line breaks. Now we will make one more button and write it in the center. So center button type equals button. So this button is for leaving the chat. Class equals btn button danger. So button danger defines the button in red color, and then we will write that as leave this chat. So this completes our chat.html as of now. So I'll just preview these things on my browser and show you how it works. So before previewing, make a small correction in the style sheet, which is static/style.css and not static/css. And similarly in index.html, here make a correction, style.css. Now we will preview our HTML files in the web browser. Okay, so this is what our index.html looks like. So there has to be some changes in the CSS. The button is not looking proper. So it's actually in index.html button primary, then button block will also come here. Okay, so our index.html looks like this, which is what we actually require. The buttons won't work in as of now, and you can see that the required field has created that please fill in this field dialog box appears whenever we try to submit anything without filling anything in this dialog box. Now we will go to the chat.html file. So just write here chat.html, and you can see in the chat.html it's also looking good, where we have the heading and the room name, which we will get from the Flask once we initialize it, and the text box, where text area where all the messages will be displayed, and a field to enter your message, send, leave this chat button. So our HTML files are completed, and now we will go to app.py to create the Python functionality in Flask. So open app.py file, and first we will import all the necessary libraries which will be required in our chat application. So that is from Flask, import Flask, then we have render template, and then the request to request library, then redirect URL library, and then URL for, and we have our session. Now we will also import all the libraries of SocketIO here only. So from Flask SocketIO, import SocketIO, and then we will import the join room function, join room, leave room, and emit. And then we will also import session from our Flask session. So we are using this Flask session class explicitly because we want to store the session variables in our server side and not on the client side, because it's a communication between more than one client. So whenever someone disconnects, the information has to be sent on all the computers connected to the same chat group, so that everyone can know that the user has left. After importing all these libraries, let me define the Flask. So app equals Flask name, then app.debug, we will define it as true because we are just developing it. So app.debug equals true. Then we will need to define a secret key. The secret key is required for maintaining the sessions in the Flask. So this secret key, I will define this variable secret key, and you can write it as anything. So let me write simply it as secret. So then we have app.config. We will define the session type. So session type is useful in communication with SocketIO. So here I'll be writing the file system session, which is an easiest one to set up. There are other session types such as Redis and a few more which you can read on SocketIO website, but we don't have to care that much for it. We will use this session and we are good to go. Now we'll also define the session. So session, and it will be in the variable app. Now we already have defined our app.route where we return the installation successful message. Now we want that whenever a user goes to the home page, he should get that login screen which we created earlier for the index.html file. So we will write here methods equals get and post. Now in the definition of index, we will return the render template for index.html. So the HTML files will be loaded from the server. So render template index.html. Okay, now we also need to define our route for the chat, where we will open the chat window whenever someone gets logged in. So define a new route called app.route, and this will go to /chat, and the method we are accepting is methods equals get and post. So a post request is sent whenever a user logs in and the information is sent back to the server, and the get request is sent if someone tries to reload the page again, so that we don't lose the session and we don't force him to go again to the login screen. So we will accept both the get and post methods. We will define the function def chat, and we will check if request.method equals post. That means someone has logged in. So if request.method is post, then we will get the username and room from our index page, where it will be username equals request.form username, and request.form, because in the index.html, if you see in the form class, we have the two input types which are username and room. So we will be getting those values in our app.py file. Then we have room equals request.form room. Now what is the error? Okay, so if request.method double equals. Now after we got the username and room, we will store this value in a session variable. So store the data in session so that it can be used unless the user logs out or leaves chat himself. So we will store that in session. So session at username equals username, and the session room will be room. Now we will return the chat window template. So return render template, and here it will chat.html, and we'll pass the session variable. So session equals session. Now you understood why I have written in the chat.html this session room line. So whenever we pass the session variable, it will take both the variables and store in the session, and we can extract those just by typing the variable name into two curly braces from the server. So in the else part, we will check if the user is trying to reload the page or is trying to join the room, if he is logged in or not logged in. So if the user is logged in, then that means if session dot get username, if session dot get username is not none, that means the user is logged in and he is trying to reload the page. Then we will return the template for chat and pass the session. So return render template of chat.html and pass the session equals session. Otherwise, that means the user is not logged in and he is trying to go directly to the chat page. Then we will redirect him back to the home page so he can log in and go back. So return redirect, then URL for, and the function name is index. Now we have written both the functions for home page as well as chat, and we will just test it out. So to test out our application, we will need to run this app.py file. So I'll open my terminal and open the terminal here. Now I will run python app.py and the server should start. So we can see that the server is started on 127.0.0/1/5000. Now I will navigate to the browser on this app window. And you can see that we have the login screen. So I'll log in with my name. Username is Mohit. Then I'll choose the room as Penguin Room and start chat. Okay. Now as you can see, it's working very fine. We have the room name being taken from the server and the room name is Penguin Room. If you click on anything now send, nothing will work here because we haven't actually included the functions to send the messages, which we will do in the next video, where we will be defining all the SocketIO routes as well as the functions for handling the client side as well as the server side of SocketIO and maintaining all the messages throughout this application. So this is all for this video. Thank you for watching this video.